Almost ready. Give me just 1 sec. This is your soccer zombie, Tom Franklin here, and it is time to rank some players after last night's 2-0 win over Union Omaha. But before I begin, I want to talk about something real quick before we get going here. And I want to point out that this is take number 2 of this intro because I recorded one right after I got home from last night, and I was upset with what led to the poor attendance last night. And I am not going to use that version because I think it was a little too mean-spirited. I feel better about things this morning, but let me just say that I think that at best, St. Louis City bungled the Open Cup tickets by doubling the price on them from where they were in 2023 to treating this match just like another City 2 match, which, by the way, costs about $10 to get in. So when you're charging $40, it's not very good value. By not promoting the match, I mean, we get the Leagues Cup absolutely shoved down our throats like a porn star during games, but no mention of the Open Cup. Of course not. I mean, that would feed into Don Garber's narrative, wouldn't it? And you're asking us to pay the same increased ratio of ticket prices as is the decreased ratio in entertainment value in this club right now, because watching Olaf Melberg's team in 2025 is as fun as rubbing sandpaper on your ass. It just is. And so, no, people aren't going to attend for $40 a night. The casual fans will not go. The honeymoon period is over. The days of us just throwing money your way, St. Louis City, are over and done. And now the slippery slope has begun, and we are heading towards being another empty MLS stadium like all across the country. You have these big, magnificent stadiums, but then you have maybe about half attendance, 2/3 attendance at a lot of these stadiums, and a lot of empty seats around the league because this league can be a little plastic and a little static and just kind of there. And we have taken something through bad play and through overcharging your customers that was special and have turned it into just another thing. I said at best this was a bungle by the ticket staff. At worst, this is a conspiracy to sabotage the event to feed into Don Garber's narrative. And I do have a feeling that MLS was behind St. Louis's lack of promotion on this in some way, shape, or form. I'm sure they had directives to not go all out in promoting this, and I don't know how far this conspiracy goes. This is not InfoWars. We're not going to go into the conspiracy rabbit hole too far here, but I have concerns about how Wednesday night was handled, where this club is going just in the next few months, and how ownership perceives us fans, whether we are just whether they truly like us, or if we're just flesh-colored ATMs. But anyway, enough of that. Let's rate some players. Here we go. And of course, thank you to Pat Connolly Tavern, located at the corner of Oakland and Tam in beautiful Dogtown, a St. Louis institution since 1942. And it's a great place to catch some live music, as they have live Irish music a couple times a week. You can check out their Facebook page at Pat Connolly Tavern for updates on their music schedule. But it's also a great place to catch the game, whether you're a St. Louis City fan, a soccer fan, a St. Louis Battlehawks fan, caw, or what have you. It's just a great place to hang out, even if you just had a long day at the zoo or Forest Park. It's a great place to grab a bite to eat. Pat Connolly Tavern. You know what? Rookie mistake. You know,
I thought it was me.
I go to New England for one weekend. New England for one weekend. I come back and I have no idea what I am doing. So let's try that again. Hello, everyone. This is your soccer zombie Tom Franklin here, along with the erstwhile Charlie Billieu. How's it going, Charlie?
Doing amazing. You?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah, Dahar Master, you are right. The mute thing happens to the best of us. And I literally have a button that puts me on mute, and it is very easy to overlook. So, but glad to be back. Let's catch up on some of the chat here. We're going to talk about Jonde Silva here as we go through our player rankings. Daniel thinks that Jonde needs more time. I think starting him Saturday would help with the speed. We'll get to that in just a bit. Hello, Ryan Fraley. Good to hang out with you in the second half of the game. Charlie, you also were in attendance, like in the crowd. So how was that for you?
It was amazing. Believe it or not, my first game as a fan. It was awesome. I mean, even with the lackluster attendance, you know, with the U.S. Open Cup, like you talked about before in the intro. I mean, with only half the supporters section filled up, maybe a third of it filled up, it was still loud. The chants were still fun. Got some good heckles, some funny heckles under the opposing training players. It was fun. I think it was amazing. It was a great experience. Food's always amazing. A little expensive, but that's every stadium food, so it's gonna happen. But it was amazing. It was a great experience. Well worth the pain it caused to my feet because I did wear sneakers.
Oh, yeah, that'll do it. Rookie mistake. I got to get those Dr. Scholl's inserts in there.
Yep.
Yeah, big time. But hello, Amy Murr. Saw you in the No Goal Patrol side as well. Good to see everyone there. Good to see the people that were there. I was again, my rant from the start of this video, not directed at the people that showed up because we're the ones that walked the walk, not really directed at the people that didn't show up because there's understandable reasons why they didn't show up. But to those of us that were there, we were the few, we were the proud, we were the loud, because I watched the replay today and we were definitely heard. I've said my piece on that. Talk about the game a little bit before we get into the player rankings. Michael points out Union Omaha are 12th in the 14-team USL D1, only ahead of two expansion teams. They have been off to a very slow start in League One. Mm-hmm. And Charlie, I think this was a game that the score sheet says 2-0, and it looks impressive. And if you look at just the numbers, like we outshot Omaha big time. We had possession big time. It looks dominant, but it kind of wasn't. And I really felt that we needed to kind of flex our muscles a little bit in this one. And I don't think we understood the assignment, especially when you consider 2 years ago, we beat the same club 5-1.
Yeah.
You know, and now we're only winning 2-0. I was not overly impressed last night. What do you think, Charlie?
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing that I didn't see was quality chances and quality touches within the box. Yeah. Klaus, scored within the box, just on the edge of the 18-yard. And then, of course, Zielinski with the banger from outside the box. But I really didn't see, I mean, the crosses and the quality of chances coming from within the box were just non-existent. And with a team like that, with a team like Omaha, where you know that they're going to have some missteps, where you can kind of just walk around them at some points, you would expect better quality in the box. Of course, you get the result. You didn't. This wasn't the worst case scenario. Of course, you got the cheers at the end because they won. They were on to play Minnesota, but it'll definitely be a tougher matchup because Minnesota actually has a MLS level defense, which again, not a huge bar comparatively, but it is going to be tougher because one, the midfield's better. Minnesota has a much more fleshed out midfield than Union Omaha did, and those chances where you had the amount of chances you had this game, you should have had 4 or 5 goals, or you should have had 2 goals with 3 posts hit or something unlucky, or the other goalie makes some amazing stops, but it really didn't challenge them too much. Other than those 2 goals, the quality chances within the box were just weren't there.
No, there was, and that's going to be kind of a recurring theme as we go through each player. The service was not great tonight. I mean, were there more positives on offense than there have been? Yes, but like again, you got to factor we're playing against Union Omaha. Ryan points out Union Omaha didn't really have much of an attack, and that factor. I mean, there were times where they were applying pressure, but they were not clinical, in our end at all. I mean, Ben Lunt kind of had an easy night at the office until maybe like the last 15-20 minutes or so. Yeah, it was just and Jeremy going to be by the way, your co-host, by the way, on
hey, shout out Jeremy. I was standing right next to him.
Yes, you were. Game. Yes, you were. I saw you down there.
Very fun game. It was great. He actually, shout out Jeremy. He actually, I'm unemployed. I don't have an income, so he actually bought me the ticket. Shout out Jeremy. It was amazing. He's a great dude. You guys should check out his socials and maybe the podcast he's a part of. I've heard there's some cool people on there. So
yeah, I heard about that. Yes, it's called Bottom Corner, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Top corner podcast, by the way. I was on the show a couple weeks ago. It's good.
Yeah, it was
live every Monday night at 9, right?
Yes, sir.
Yep, got it. All right, but anyway, he was saying that he's going to be harsh because I feel that the expectation should be we should be good against USL League One teams, and that I agree. So, So, by the way, I am wearing Portland Hearts of Pine gear because I was just there Sunday. Nice. Had a great time. The vlog for that just came out this morning, so it is out there in the wild, literally, because Portland's got a lot of wilderness.
Yeah.
The Rhode Island vlog came out a couple days ago, and then I was at Louisville. That one came out over the weekend, so it's 2 hours of soccer-related content for you that I traveled half the country away to film. So if you guys can give it a watch, I appreciate it. They're already doing well, but just if nothing else, if you need a palate cleanser for how St. Louis has been lately, and you want to, if you're not feeling the vibes like you did in 2023, Rhode Island, it's their second year. Portland is their first year. Go feel like how you did in 2023 by watching those videos. It's so cool to see soccer taking root in those areas that you would not expect professional soccer. Rhode Island, the smallest state, and Maine, because it's Maine.
Yeah.
All righty, so it is time to rank some players, and how this works is we have this row at the bottom with a bunch of players, and we rank them based on whether they smashed it, whether they were good, whether they were meh, whether they were bad, or whether they were truly god awful. That is how it works, and we go basically through the lineup. We go through each player one by one, and we are going to start off in net with one Ben Lunt. Ben Lunt, as I kind of alluded to, I thought Ben had a very quiet day at the office, had nothing to do in the first half at all. In fact, I think in about the 79th minute, Lunt had a punch, off of a corner, and then I think he stopped a rebound. And those might have been like his first actual stops, in the second half. And really not much to write home about.
Yeah, not a ton, but one thing I do look at with Ben Lunt, especially one thing you've been missing with Roman Berkey the last couple weeks has been the distribution from that back end. And I think Lunt did a solid job with his distribution in the short passing and also going with long balls. He had 84% passing percentage, which is
Yeah.
respectable for a keeper. So I think that's it's a solid game. Of course, you don't let any goals. You did exactly what the team needs you to do. Of course, they don't need you to be Ramon Berkey. They don't need
No.
you to make 18 saves, and that's a good thing. You shouldn't have to make 18 saves, right?
No.
Especially against Union Omaha. But I think he did exactly what they asked of him, and I don't think he could give them anything less than good.
Yeah, and I was thinking about that as well because, and this has been kind of an issue with my player rankings, is that if you have kind of a boring game as a goalkeeper, I had like put Berkey in meh a couple times, and people were like, well, no, he did his job, So, and to your point though about the passing, I do think Lund's passing as he's gotten more playing time has gotten better. Like he's never going to be Berkey. Passing the ball. He's never going to throw it long. I think he does he's not overly creative as a passer. He doesn't have to be, in the way that they've been kind of deploying him. They just wanted to make, simple, safe passes for the most part. I've never seen him like lead a counter off of a long kick or anything like that, but it's been getting better. But in general, he did his job. He did his job. He commanded the back line, even though he didn't have a lot to do. So I'm going to put him in good. I think good is a fair ranking for him. And according to the commenters, Ryan thought that he was mid, 6 out of 10. I mean, just because probably because he didn't have much to do. Jeff thought he was solid. So I really can't argue with that.
Yeah, you can't really.
So that's Ben. Now we're gonna move on to Joey Zielinski. Joey Zielinski. I was so happy that Zielinski got a chance. Period. I've been waiting for Zielinski to have a chance. I've been waiting for Olaf to finally point his, like Moonlight Graham pointing his bony finger at Joey Zielinski and tell him you're up. And darn if he didn't make the most of his opportunity. I hope he's really, I really hope that he's paid the Olaf tax, to get into the, lineup more and the reckoning more, especially because Watts might have to be filling in for Alfredo Morales in the center mid spot, and Watts is kind of our right back by default with Totland out. I thought Zielinski was strong on the ball. He looked responsible defensively, and then of course that goal, Charlie was phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, you could not ask for more from a player that yet Olaf said himself he's not going out there to score goals. He's not putting in Joseph Zielinski with the idea that we're down one, we need to get one going. We need to score goals, put in Joseph Zielinski. That's not what you do.
No,
Zielinski is is primarily either in the left or right back position, or as a wing back maybe. He played kind of more of a midfield position on that, I think, left side, primarily. Yes, last night, but I mean, man, you couldn't ask for more from the kid. You give him a chance. A couple games that I've seen Olaf start Akil Watts, and I'm like, and, it kind of makes my blood boil a little bit because I want to see Zielinski. I want to give him a chance. If he sucks, if he starts to play bad, then I'm proven wrong. I stand corrected. But you finally put him in, you give him a chance, and he played amazing. And I think he has done. I don't know what he has to do more to get a nod to at least get sub minutes in on Saturday at least, or in future MLS contests. Because again, like talking about that 6th spot with Alfredo Morales being kind of inconsistent recently, had the red, he was suspended, and you don't know if he's going to be a consistent starter again. You talk about you have almost $2 million in general allocation money you could use for a transfer fee for somebody to fill in that 6th spot, or you could put Akil Watts there. But I think you have Joseph Zielinski as a great outlet as a defensive midfielder in that sense, because that's what he's played his whole life.
Yeah, there's someone that stepped up today that I also want to talk about that I think might be a candidate for the 6th, but he's a little ways away. We'll get to him a little bit later on though. But as he said, Zielinski, not a goal scorer by trade. He was just kind of right place, right time. Pounced on a loose ball, did a great job of hustling for it, and it was actually kind of a deja vu moment for him because like 25 minutes later, from almost the exact same spot and almost the exact same situation, Zielinski had a volley attempt, and it ended up going wide past the far goal. So this was the goal that he scored on was like attempt number 2, at that type of shot. So really happy for his persistence. Ryan thinks that Zielinski was man of the match, 9 out of 10. Jeff thinks that he is a smash. What a first start. Jeremy's near smash for Joey. Times that he did get caught up the field and was having to rush back to coverage, but very good for him. IMO. And honestly, what you just described, Jeremy, sometimes describes Totland. Because Totland, I think he's also been guilty of being caught up too far afield, and I think that's partly just because of the positioning and
Yeah.
how we deploy our wing backs. So I'm gonna go with the smash for
Yeah, I
Zelensky.
agree. I mean,
I mean, and it's
talk about guys. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, and hopefully he's okay because it looked like he went down from my vantage point, and you were right that you were right there below me. It looked like just cramps because
Yeah.
he was talking like in like to the crowd after the game, and like he was kind of hobbling around, but he was ambulatory.
Yeah, I mean, his celebration was so exertive. It gives you Edwin Diaz vibes of like, oh, did he hurt himself? Celebration, No,
Yeah.
I think maybe just a little bit of overexertion, not being used to playing in that kind of environment since he hasn't gotten any play time. I think it's inevitable that you're going to cramp up a little bit. But I agree with you. Joseph Zelensky is a smash here. I mean, what a beauty of a goal! What a
Yeah.
first game to start with the squad. I can't wait for his first MLS start or minutes.
Also,
But yeah,
Michael thought it was hilarious when Zelensky scored, knowing that Olaf hasn't played him at all. Like
yeah.
I said, I hope this means he has paid the Olaf tax.
Joseph Zelensky reminds me, you talked about, and you and Jeremy talked about just now, him and Totland kind of floating up and feeling that being overcommitted sometimes. I think I saw that a lot from Chris Durkin last year, especially
Hmm.
because he said before that he has the innate sense he wants to go and score goals, especially when the squad wasn't scoring. They had great
Hmm.
defense before the summer transfer window, before Hartel, Betchers, Toysher come in. They have good defense, and they had horrible offense, or at times they had horrible of both. And you saw the firing of Bradley Cornell, of course, and Hackworth coming in. But Durkin felt the need to kind of move up a little bit because the offense was so stagnant. And I think that's something that you'll see a little less once this offense starts to get moving more from these type of players.
Well, speaking of players that like to float up, that segues perfectly into our next player, and that is Timo Baumgartel. Timo Baumgartel playing as a right center back this time after a couple matches playing as the central center
And
back.
striker.
And yeah, we don't talk about that. We don't talk about. I like to just imagine that's a fever dream. Yeah. But Timo, playing right center back kind of freed him up a little bit more to do something that he is kind of known for, and that is, be a creative, progressive passer out of the back. There were times where he would float up, a little bit down the middle of the field to try to, generate a transition. He actually had a couple passes into the final third as well at points.
14.
Yeah, but he was a busy man. Which if you don't watch closely, you may not have noticed otherwise. But there was also he had a good block on Max Schneider in the 32nd minute, former City 2 Max Schneider, by the way. And that probably deflected away a goal that was probably goal bound for Omaha and, Max's revenge. But what do you think of Max Schneider? Max Schneider. We don't care about Max Schneider. What do you think of Timo? What do you think of Timo Baumgartel? I thought he was pretty good.
Yeah, I think Timo, I mean, he had one shot on goal, which is a little bit surprising. But to talk about having 14 passes into the final third, he was dispossessed 0 times. So
Yeah.
he's possessing the ball upfield consistently. His passing was not the greatest. He had an 85% passing and a 64 to 75 completed,
Okay.
which is all right. On the transitional game, you would like to see a little bit more, but again, you could not. Again, like the offensive production from your back line has been crazy when you don't expect that from them. 14 passes into the final third with 0 dispossessions. You would expect maybe 1 turnover in that situation. You would expect maybe 1 slide tackle to dispossess him, but no. I think he played a good game. If you want to put him in meh, that's fine. But I personally would put Timo in good here.
Yeah, Ryan thinks that Timo was a 5 out of 10 meh, but like the thing, this was one of those games, and another example was the City 2 game that he started, like his first action all year,
Yeah.
where you see Timo's quality come out when he's playing inferior competition. He looks. I mean, for one, the guy is a man among boys out there, like physically. I mean, he's a big boy, but just the way he moves, the way he senses the game, the way that he can, pick out a pass. pass, which is, very desired as a central defender nowadays. It's a very advanced level of center back that he does play and that he does have in his locker. And if I had just left it at what I saw in person, I might have just given Timo a meh. But the rewatch really kind of made him stand out a bit. And then again, those 12 passes into the final third, that is a lot for us, for any player. Any player, not that's a lot for a winger, and we're talking about a center back, making those passes. So I mean, to me, that's good. To me, that's good. And that's a pretty solid good. But yep. But one player that kind of freed Timo up to do that was Josh Yarrow. Oh, captain, my captain, Josh Yarrow. I know one of you was waiting for me to admit that Josh Yarrow was my captain because I've been a little hard on Josh Yarrow at times on these player rankings, but he's also been my man of the match twice. So like credit where credit's due.
Yeah.
Josh Yarrow playing that central defender role actually might be a good role for him, honestly, because he is a meat and potatoes type of a center back. You don't want him doing anything overly elegant because he's just not that player. But as a quick sweeper, I think that's not a bad role for him, at least against a Union Omaha. I thought he also did, to be fair, made some good passes himself. He was moving the ball around, by his standards, pretty good. I mean, but again, Union Omaha. He did have a good block in the 79th minute, hustling back. But then he did almost allow the tying goal because he did not mark Omaha's number 9 just moments later. He decided to defend the same spot that Giannis Horn was defending. This is kind of something, Charlie, that drives people nuts about Yarrow, is that sometimes he just kind of switches off mentally.
Yeah, he can get caught ball watching at times, and I think that happens to the best of players, to the worst of players. It happened to every player. Okay, I think, and for Yarrow, it's been a problem this year, and there's no denying that. But one thing I would point out with Josh is over the season, you've talked about how hard you've been on Yarrow and how and you get on the man of the match twice, but with the amount of backlash he's faced and the amount of bad games he's had this season, he still continues to get nods, and especially he gets the captain this time. That tells me that either Olaf Melberg is clinically insane, which I think, he might not be in the best favor with fans, but I don't think he's clinically insane. I think Josh Yarrow might just be putting in so much effort and might be putting in the work and training that coaches are seeing something, every week in training that are pointing them in a direction where let's start him. Because they have the ability to put Kyle Hebert at that center spot. They have the ability to bench Yarrow and, put Vollum on that right wing back if they want to. But no, they consistently put in Yarrow. And I think it's a testament to his effort and work ethic in that sense. But again, 90, he had the most passes, 73. And most passes and the best passing percentage on City. 95% passing for Yarrow. He was a good catalyst of just keeping possession in the defensive zone. One of the big reasons City had the majority possession, 62%. I think, like you said, almost giving up the game-tying goal is a tough one, and it kind of stopped me from saying he had an amazing game. But I still think I think he did not play as well as Timo Baumgartel, and for that reason, I think I would put him at meh, but it's a good meh.
Okay. Yeah, Ryan Fraley thinks he's a 7 out of 10. And before that lapse that almost cost, I mean, really, the guy should have buried it. Like it was, I mean, like I watched that replay like 6 times and I'm befuddled how he missed completely. That was just absolute. I mean, that's just, I mean, it's League One, but still.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have scored that. Probably. I could have scored that, which is even scarier to think about because I have no game whatsoever. But I was gonna put Yarrow in good, but then that lapse, it sounds harsh. It sounds really harsh, and you can let me know in the chat if you think I'm being too harsh. But I'm gonna go with you, Charlie. I'm gonna put him in meh, just because that the complexion of the game changes if Omaha ties it up 1-1, and because like I was at a point, like just me as a fan, like if we're actually going to extras against Union Omaha or we're going to PKs, like I told my buddy Brad a couple times, it's like, I'm going to turn into Heath Ledger Joker here. And like, I'm just going to sit here and watch the world burn.
Yeah.
because there is absolutely no world where we should be going to extras with Union Omaha.
No world. And yeah, like I said, this is the top is this is the highest tier meh you can give someone, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a
I
good meh. It's not a
it's a
bad meh.
it's a good meh, and I think Josh, like I said earlier, he did exactly what he needed to do. Being the captain, I think he touching the ball the most and passing it the most is something the captain, especially his defender, should be doing. He did do that. He did exactly what he was supposed to do. Of course, he had that lapse, but I think it doesn't overshadow his performance that
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, so like take a screen grab. This is probably where I would put Yarl, kind of
Yeah,
straddling meh and good.
same here. Yeah.
Just tier maker has limits. Kyle Hebert up next here. And Kyle Hebert kind of frustrated me a little bit at times because and it's the same issue that he always has. He's never met a side or back pass that he didn't like. He is not. There were times where he did progress the ball, but they were very few, and I just and the problem with his tentativeness in going forward is the fact that in this setup, he's playing a left center back role, but then he's playing with Mekhi Joyner, who's being tasked with playing far up the field. And Joyner was pretty busy tonight. And Joyner is just more of an attacking player in general, whereas Zelensky can be responsibly defensively. So a lot of times Hebert would swing out to almost being a left back role, and you're wanting that player to think forward, think forward, think forward. And Hebert is just not that guy.
Yeah.
He frustrates me with that. But even still, Charlie, he somehow ended up with 7 passes into the final third. So maybe, am I being too harsh on Kyle?
I mean, no. No. I think what you asked from Kyle Hebert is solid defense. What he gave you was good defense.
Mm-hmm.
I think what you asked from Kyle Hebert is that he is just a rock that is hard to move and hard to budge, not making any horrible mistakes, being that kind of voice of reason, or maybe not the most flashy player, but someone there to solidify that left side, especially when you have Mekhi Joyner having to play so much defense. It's kind of
Mm-hmm.
odd. Because I mean he's not the best defensively, so it's good to have Kyle on that left side. But I think it's a good thing and a bad thing that he had the most chances created in this game. 4, most of those coming in
Yeah.
the first half, based off of crosses. Towards coming into the side supporter section, we had a great vantage point of the amount of crosses that came in that first half from Kyle on that left side. But
Mm-hmm.
That's just not what you're asking him to do. And I think he had a good game. Did he have as good as a game as Timu Baumgartel? I don't think so. Did he have as good as a game as Josh Yarrow? I think he was probably about even.
About level.
Yeah.
And this is more of a tactics issue, which we'll get to in the Olaf section here. But Hebert had 79 touches and Joey Zelensky had 49 touches. I would rather those numbers be flipped.
Yeah.
In that situation, Hebert doesn't scare me with the ball on his feet as much as like a Josh Yarrow does, just because sometimes Yarrow like he gets nervous when he's dribbling sometimes,
His
whereas
internal
Hebert,
clock can get off sometimes.
yeah, Hebert is a more confident dribbler. It's just that he again, the side passes just drive me insane. But as you said, he did do his job defensively. It's just he's just another one of those players in this system, and I think there's a few players that we're going to talk about tonight that just don't fit what Olaf wants. And that's and I saw this in person. It's just like I saw so many players in positions that they are just not suited for, but Olaf is insisting on them playing these roles. And I know injuries are a thing, but even when healthy, I have concerns over the roster construction versus the tactics. But we'll get to that in the Olaf section. I'm gonna go. I'm kind of on board with you, and I'm on board with Ryan here. The Kyle Hebert experience was a meh for me overall.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't do anything egregious. It's just that he is in a club that is supposed to be building off of transitioning out of the back and counterattacks. Kyle Hebert just ain't it. He just ain't it.
No, right now.
Anyway, speaking of players that I feel are a bit of a square peg in a round hole where they're being used is Mekhi Joyner.
Yeah.
I thought Mekhi Joyner, the effort was there. It was absolutely there, and I do like that he was more involved on offense compared to his other appearances so far. But I kept telling myself watching last night, Mekhi Joyner is not a wingback. He
No.
can't win a ground duel to save his life. He's very tentative on defense, and I watched a lot of City 2 last year, which meant I watched a lot of Mekhi Joyner last year. He is a winger. He is an offensive forward thinking winger. That is who he is. That is his play style. He plays wide. He likes playing wide. He's not like a Jean De Silva that likes to cut inside or a Celio that can cut inside. Joyner does like playing wider, which and I see why they're trying him out at wingback in that regard. But I just think Joyner is a bit too deficient on defense to trust long term as a wingback. What do you think?
Yeah, and this isn't a dig against Mekhi. He's not a
No.
defensive player. Mekhi Joyner is one of the most electric players. He's one of the most physically and able and athletic players on the squad. I mean, I've seen him jump. It looks like he's got springs in his shoes.
Yeah.
I mean, Mekhi is such an athlete that he can play, that he can run. I'll say that he can run for 90 minutes straight and not get tired,
Hmm.
being the young spry kid that he is. But you just again, you said it perfectly. Square peg, round hole. He lost the most duels. He lost 8 duels
Hmm.
in the game. Just a
Yeah.
rough defensive performance, and that's not his fault. He just
Yeah.
shouldn't be playing defense. I would rather see him again. He's a winger. He's offensive minded, and when he plays offense, he's damn good at it. There's a reason why he was on City 2, and then there's a reason why he's on the one of the contracts that's a 2-way where it doesn't have the limited 3 call ups.
Correct.
There's a reason why he's consistently practicing with the first team. There's a reason why he got the nod tonight, and there's a reason he did solid offensively, I think.
Yeah. The only issue with Joyner is that his crosses weren't very effective and his long balls weren't particularly effective tonight. But the caveat you have to remember with Mekhi Joyner is and there's one number that you have to remember with Mekhi Joyner, 18, as in that's his age. So he is still kind of a work in progress. He's playing out there against men, grown men. I mean, St. Louis is full of 25 and olders, and Union Omaha also tends to be a very veteran squad as well for their levels. So, but so you have to kind of remember on things like in the 89th minute when Joyner's got a break. And he does have a defender kind of on his, a few steps off to his left, but he's breaking. He's seeing goal. That's all he is seeing. And even and he takes a shot and it goes wide. Klaus and Seti kind of were a bit miffed at Joyner because Joyner did have Klaus on the back post if he wanted for like an easy tap in. But again, he's 18 years old. And when you're on the big stage and it's just you and the goalie, you get tunnel vision sometimes. You want to impress. And getting a goal is the definition of impressive when you're an offensive minded player. So I don't blame Joyner for taking the shot there. The announcer didn't blame Joyner for taking the shot there. And I'm sure Klaus and Toy Shirt were just kind of reacting in the moment because they're veteran players and they might have picked out the pass. But it was 2-0 by then. Not the biggest of deals. Jeff Kaufman pointing out that Joyner is fun to watch. That's one reason I love season tickets for City 2 last year because Joyner is fun. He is
Yeah,
very fun to watch. He's gonna be a good one, guys. But it's still a work in progress with him. I feel Joyner gets a meh from
I
me.
agree.
He
And
went,
keep in mind, City fans, this guy's under contract until the end of the 2028 season.
he's probably our longest signed player at this point.
He is right now. You have Betcher with a 2028 option, but
Yeah,
he's the only 2028 guaranteed player right now,
yeah,
unless of course they loan him out or trade him or sell
yeah.
him.
Yeah, so with Joyner, the effort was there. It's just that the quality quite wasn't. But like, I'm not gonna fault Joyner for his effort.
No.
He did jump out to me last night in a good way. Just in how active that he was. And that's kind of what you need to be, as a wing back. Is you need to have hustle. You need to have stamina, and he has both. So it's just that he needs to work on the defensive side.
Yeah, for sure.
But I mean, it was the right move to start him last night for sure.
100%.
Um, a player that I'm also kind of at a kind of a crossroads with, when not really a crossroads, just a weird spot, is Tomas Ostrak. Um, I'm in a weird spot with him because he passes the eye test for me when I see him play. Like when I was watching him last night, like when he's got the ball at his feet, he can be fun to watch. I also appreciate that he is a plucky defender. I use the term plucky because he's not a particularly good defender, but he's not afraid of a challenge. He's not afraid of getting in the mixer, as they say. And to be fair, his passing was very good. Like he was 28 to 29 passing. He did have moments where he was able to progress the ball down the middle, but something is just missing with Ostrak, and I can't quite put my finger on it. I think part of the issue, Charlie, is that I don't think he's a 6 either. I think he is a 10 masquerading as a 6. What do you think?
I agree. I can't say it better. That's exactly how I feel about Tomas Ostrak. He's a great transitional piece for City, and I think that's why they put him at the 6, because they're like, well, we want to start Alfredo Morales as a defensive midfielder, but we need some transition because Alfredo's not going to take the ball from your own box up to the opponent's box in one swift motion. That's not going to happen. They'll
Yeah.
pass sideways or pass backwards before that, and that's they're looking for a transitional piece in that midfield. But I don't know if that's the right place to put a transitional piece right now. I think if you're going to, so far, most of their attacks have been from the left side this year, and more the right side than the center. So if you're going to talk about trying to get more transitional things in the center, it's just not working. Either it's not working or it's not what you're trying to do. If you're trying to use Tomas Ostrak as a defensive piece, that's a little odd. He's a good player, but that's just not his forte. He got dribble passed twice against a USL League One team. You're talking about players that play for Union Omaha who are going past Tomas Ostrak twice. It's not the best. It's not the greatest. Of course, if you did this off of FOTMOB rating, it would be much less nuanced because he did have the worst of any starter. But that doesn't tell the whole story.
No.
He only played 45 minutes. He got taken out for Edu Leuven. I'm not sure if that's his fitness or rather just having Edu in, because Ostrak's gone out 3 times now, right after half or the 50th minute, basically.
I don't think Ostrak is fully fit. I think he's so. I think he's still building his fitness back up. When you're coming off an Achilles injury, like you're pretty much immobile for a long time. And just remember how long it took Seti Toyshirt to get into the swing of things. I mean, he's just now kind of getting to a point where he's like probably fully fit, but it took him a good long while. And I think with Ostrak, I think with him, it's just getting him fit. But I think but it also could be, as you said, Charlie, a little bit of, a little bit of one basket, a little bit of another, because as you said, they want to get Leuven's fitness up as well. And Leuven playing 45 minutes was his longest stint since he's come back from his personal issues. So it could have been a little bit of A, a little bit of B. But just watching Ostrak, as I said, something's just kind of missing with him. And I think part of it is he's being deployed not to his strengths, which again is another player that is being a square peg in a round hole in this system. I talked about Hebert, and now we have Ostrak in that category as well. The personnel doesn't fit the scheme.
Right now, no. And the most that Ostrak has played this year is 64 minutes. That was against Sporting Kansas City April 5th. So and then he went from 64 to 3 to 0 to 45 to 60 back to 45, which makes you think maybe he re-aggravated something after that, maybe in that Columbus game or after that Kansas City game where he went from 64 minutes played to 3 in the Columbus game. just coming on the last second to try to just delay their Columbus's. I don't know. I mean, just kind of as like a last ditch effort. And then he didn't play against Vancouver at all. You could be seeing something like a re-aggravation or just something pop up.
It could be, or I mean, he keeps getting chances. So like, I don't think he's like an Olaf's doghouse or anything like that. It's just he's meh, and I think that's just where I'm going to put him. He's just meh. Alfredo Morales. Alfredo Morales is a bit of a legend on this channel because I've not been a big Alfredo Morales fan, as your co-host Oscar Rojas definitely knows, and will defend to the death.
Yeah.
The sad thing, did you ever hear the tragedy of Alfredo Morales the Wise? He could fill in for others, but not himself.
Yeah.
Now he's gone down to injury himself. And the tragic thing is that I thought he looked fine this game before the injury. He had a really nice through ball in the 6th minute to a breaking Simon Betcher that unfortunately was called back for offsides, but that was real pretty. Morales does have this ability to thread a really nice pass whenever he's in the right position to do so. But yeah, this was kind of the rap with Morales, is that he's 34 years old. Does he have the legs anymore? And Olaf, after in the press conference after the game, saying that doesn't look good for Morales, and that's kind of disconcerting, Charlie.
It is, and that I talked about it earlier to a couple buddies. Like, what do you do with this 6th spot now?
Yeah,
I don't think Akil Watts is the right guy to put in that 6th spot. I don't think Joseph Zielinski is the right guy to put in that 6th spot. I don't think Yarrow.
I have a potential solution. Someone that actually had to fill in for Morales in that spot. Someone that I kind of liked in that 6th spot last night. Conrad Vollum.
Heck yeah.
But we'll get to Vollum in a bit. But I think I want to see I want to see Vollum in the 6th going forward, because he's got the pluck for it.
There's a kid that went to high school in St. Louis, plays for a team called St. Louis City SC2. I think his name is Miggy Perez.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he could get a shot, or you could just use the $2 million in general allocation money you have to get a non-34-year-old injured player.
Because we do have a couple supplemental spots open as the roster layout after the transfer window was released today, and we have the spots. Go get someone, and this is gonna sound weird, Charlie. This is gonna sound crazier than playing Miggy Perez, Charlie. Maybe just maybe you play JGR. Jake Girdwood Reich. Olaf would never. I don't know what's going on with Jake Girdwood Reich, honestly. Like he needs to go on the side of a milk carton at this point, because I don't know he wasn't even selected for the bench.
No.
And you would think last night that would be an opportunity for JGR to get some work in.
Yeah, no, I guess
not.
Nope.
You got to make sure Akil Watts has a spot.
Olaf Milberg says no, and I think you talk about JGR. You also talk about those supplemental spots. You traded AZ Jackson. You traded Indiana Vasilev for, around $1 million each in general allocation money. In return, there's a guy. We just played a USL 1 team. There's a guy on another USL 1 team on the Charleston Battery named Aaron Malloy that I talked about earlier today. He is a 28-year-old Irishman, natural 6. He in 7 matches so far, he already has 1 goal and 1 assist. He's a guy that you can look at potentially for that supplemental roster spot, and I found that during my lunch period today as a high school student. I guarantee Lutz Pfannenstiel can find him too.
And that would be almost like a trade, because Johnny Klein now plays for Charleston Battery. So yeah. Johnny Klein for your guy, that could work.
Yeah,
Michael.
Go ahead.
Michael points out that JGR did play for City 2 on Sunday, which when I saw that, I thought, okay, he's getting some reps in for Union Omaha. Nope. By the way, El Homie, good evening. And we're talking about the JGR or lack thereof, partly to distract us from the fact that we have to talk about Alfredo Morales' injury. And you know, I almost don't want to rate Morales tonight just because of the injury. I kind of have to put him in meh. I mean,
Yeah.
just because he didn't have the full body of work. I mean, he did nothing that stood out, did nothing that was bad before he got hurt. It's just kind of sad. Just
Yeah.
kind of sad.
Unfortunate.
But you know what did not make me sad last night, Charlie? Jande Silva. Jande Silva. This guy, when he gets going, I think he could be really, really, really fun to watch. He brought a spark on this offense that we have lacked, and it just comes down to one thing: speed. He's speedy. We don't have a lot of speed on this roster, especially with Totland out. He looked very comfortable cutting inside. He's someone that it's very obvious that he is someone that he can play centrally or he can play winger, but he's an inside forward type because he was doing that a lot. 17th minute, he got a through ball, and this was a situation where he was attacking towards the north end, and he got a through ball. And the best move for him probably would have been to stay outside to Rashid Nuhu's right shoulder, the goalkeeper for Omaha. But then he did try to cut inside, and he got tackled. But besides that, I thought Jande looked very, very enticing, Charlie.
Yeah, I mean, even if you just look at on paper, he'd probably be sitting at a meh. But the way that Jande played, and one thing I want to highlight, a lot of this year, there's been strikers and there's been wingers and there's been even Klaus as a 9 position has been coming back so much to play defensively. Jande Silva barely played in our own end, which I think is
No.
a good thing in this
Yes.
situation. I want a player that is going to keep the defense on their toes. We're not all going to sit back into a mid block. Jande Silva spent the majority of his time on that right side and towards a little bit past the circle, making problems and runs to the right. But he also spent a lot of time on that left corner, which is kind of surprising. Like he flipped spots with Celio a couple times.
He did. And I don't know if that was a tactical move just to kind of switch things up a little bit by Olaf, or whether that was just something kind of like a shorthand between the two. Maybe it was just, they're covering for each other. Maybe one was too far over and the other one covered. But I was just going to point out, Charlie, that I'm really curious. I want to see more of Celio and Jande playing next to each other. And I don't know how many chances we'll get with that, because obviously Marcel Hartle needs to get his minutes in, obviously. But although he might be playing more of the 6 now that Morales is out. But I really kind of liked how Jande and Celio looked playing off each other. They're both quick, creative. When they're one of the few players that we have that when they have the ball at their feet, you kind of go, ooh, something's going to happen. Especially Jande, because he brings that extra speed that Celio just doesn't have.
Yeah.
And one thing I also noticed about Silva too is that he was playing in the same spot that Seti Toyshirt tends to play. And one thing I've noticed with Toyshirt, and again, and I didn't analyze the Seattle game, but Seti has a hard time just getting touches in games. But Silva had a lot of touches, and he was playing the same spot as Seti. So, Charlie, do you think that was just tactics and just the way it kind of fell through? Or do you think it's just, were we trying to feed it through Silva? Or what do you think happened there?
I think they're different players. I think,
Yeah.
like I just said, Silva tends to stay up. He's a guy that wants the ball. He's selfish in that good way.
Yeah.
And I think that Seti, Cedric Toyshirt is different in the way that he is more of a playmaker in my eyes, rather than a true goal scorer, because he'll rather create a play, send a cross in, or keep possession in the midfield and be a little bit more passive. I think Jande coming into the game you're coming into the team with a new perspective, and they traded for you, saying they want you. They made it clear they want you on the team. You basically have nothing to lose. You have nothing to prove, almost. because they said we're going to trade for this guy because we want him. If they
Yeah.
traded for him, if they didn't trade for him, then they don't want him, obviously. But they did.
Right.
They said, I want Xande Silva. So there's not much that he has to prove because he's cemented his ability to score and his ability to play in Atlanta. And he is just out there playing free soccer. And I think that's something that Toy Shirt has not been playing recently. And that's
No.
not a dig against him either. I think it's a system that's been limiting his ability to get to the ball.
Yeah, really, I agree with you on that. And Silva is playing for a contract. Whether it's with St. Louis or whether it's with someone else. So obviously he's in the right mindset to impress, and I thought he really impressed, and I want to see more of him for sure. Didn't get on the score sheet. He did have a shot on a counter break in the second half, but that was saved. And I suspect that he was pulled for Toy Shirt maybe just because of fitness, because he hasn't really been playing a whole lot lately. When he was jogging off, he did look kind of tired.
Yeah.
But overall, I thought it was a very good performance from Xande. I would always put it kind of like in the here. I mean, I'm gonna hold him off a smash just because like he didn't actually contribute to a goal or anything like that. But like when I got a peek at what Xande Silva could be, and I think we all did, and I'm very intrigued.
Yeah, I think, with the next guy especially, they play so similar. Him and Xande Silva. Celia Pompeu in this game had similar counting stats. He played a full 90. And the way that I see it, they're so similar. I know I'm jumping pretty fast here, but I think, they're together on the wings. They're together in play styles. I would rank them together here.
And I think there's a good argument for that because Celia they were kind of almost mirror images of each other a little bit, in that I think Silva was definitely the more, like he was more the hot knife through butter type, whereas Celia was trying to, shake and bake and unlock a little bit. But Pompeo was part of the more forward-thinking approach that I thought City had last night. I wouldn't necessarily call City expressive, and we'll get to that later. But Celia was trying to make things happen. Had a couple shots that were blocked. Had a really good long-range chance in the 59th minute that Nuhu had to make a really good diving stop on. I mean, Celia could have easily scored that one. Omaha's goalie is very good. He's like their version of Roman Berkey, basically. Yeah. Celio also, I thought very interesting before Leuven came on. Celio was on corners as well, and he was also on free kicks. So good to see him getting a chance there. Strong game against weaker competition. We have to remember kind of bait our breath a little bit about that. Yeah. He did have when Joyner was on that break, that was a long ball from Celio. So Celio was back at his own end. He had a couple defenders around him, didn't have a whole lot of space to work with, and yet he's still able to switch it upfield and bounce it up to Joyner, who's able to run it down and almost score. But yeah, I'm with you on that one. I am going to give Celio a good as well. I thought Celio had a strong game, very much like Xande.
You know what they say? What's better than one Celia Pompeu? Two Celia Pompeus. The other one being named Xande Silva.
We've had one Celio, yes, but what about second Celio?
Good idea.
like Pippin from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And then finally, for the starters anyway, Simon Betcher. Simon Betcher getting the start for St. Louis City, the St. Louis University grad, playing in the city of all those Open Cup titles. I thought it was a little poetic.
Yeah.
I thought Betcher was, again, part of that same attack with Xande and Celio that was really trying to make things happen. He had a great look in the 11th minute. Knew who made a good save on him. He also had that break in the 6th minute that Morales fed a good ball to him that he was just a step offside. Also, on the goal that Silva almost had in the 53rd minute that was stopped, that was a really good feed by Betcher. So it's Betcher and Silva are breaking, and it's like a 2-on-2 basically. And with the outside of his right foot, Betcher's breaking on the left, and he's able to kind of flick a pass up to Xande, who has all sorts of space. That's a really good pick out, Charlie, by a player that I would not call a playmaker by any means.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great play. And with the way that Simon played, I'll say something right now, not related to the game. if I could give someone a smash based on what they did after the game, Simon Venture is getting 16 smashes.
Oh,
He is getting a smash on every game for the rest of the season if I could, because Simon Venture did something that that players have not done recently. That sparked a little bit of outrage is that acknowledging the fans.
Yes.
You
Oh
know,
my gosh.
Simon
Yes.
Fetcher, about 20 minutes after final whistle, after saying hi to family and friends, after intervening with the other team's players, saying hi, saying how's the wife. He went over to the grandstands that were open, the lower bowl, to all the kids that were standing in that first row and signed about 50 autographs. And then he came over to the supporters section, clapped, and then he pointed to Shao Klaus, who was also still on the pitch, last
Yes.
players on the pitch, and said, clap for him too. He played amazing. I think that's one of the things that you love to see from Simon, because he was one of those players where before he got signed from the loan, it seemed like he was down. It seemed like they marketed Simon so much it was almost felt like it was inevitable. But I've seen a large change in his demeanor since he's gotten since they've bought his option on the loan and made him an official player and extended him through 2028 with club options in 2027 and 2028. But the way that he's been acting recently and Blaze been playing recently, I think he's got an extra pep in his step, and I think he played a game that is very commendable, and what he did after was even more.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to get to the acknowledgement part when we get to the Olaf part because I have
Yeah.
things to say about that. But yeah, I will say for that particular moment when he pointed over at Klaus, who was over at the bench, and Klaus was also clapping as well. First of all, I need a buddy comedy with Simon Betcher and Joao Klaus in my life. Get someone write a script,
Yeah.
and I need this movie in my life, Simon and Joao. But yeah, I really liked how Betcher looked overall. Um, I'll give him a good. I think it's a solid good. It's a solid good. By the way, just catching up on some comments here. Romo wondering what's with the injury bug in the city. We have been in the situation for the last 2 years, and why we are having practices, say a day before we play a game. I think there's valid concerns over the injuries and how players are going down, and we're not back there, Charlie, like for practices and in the training room or anything like that. But I think we have a right to be concerned about what exactly is causing all these injuries, because these aren't like Berkey's was kind of it sounded like kind of a freak thing,
Yeah.
but like a lot of these are like Morales goes down to non-contact. Ostrak got hurt in practice last year. He got
Kessler
clattered
out in training.
yeah, and we just and so many other examples of players going down. Like I think we have a right to be concerned about that.
Yeah, one of the things Taylor Twellman said, what recently was, from what he's heard from the sources that he has and the connections that he has, is that City SC is one of the only teams that practices 11 on 11.
Mm.
Allegedly, that is their method, playing actual situations in practice. Ben Lund has said that Tuesdays are the hardest practice days. Not necessarily Fridays, as they're a little bit less intensive, but not quite the walkthrough that you see for most teams. It's interesting how they've been doing it, because you see European players do this, and you don't see as many injuries over there, and you see there's some other MLS teams and USL League One teams doing this, and you don't see as many injuries over there. So it's confusing for sure, and I think
Yeah.
you have a right to be confused and question why this keeps happening.
Yeah, and we may never get the answer unless we hear in the offseason that Washington Orthopedics has been replaced.
Yeah,
That's literally the only signal that's the only thing they'll probably say on that. And of course, I get it because of HIPAA and all that stuff. But
yeah.
yeah, it is very, very concerning. By the way, this Saturday we got San Diego FC, and El Homie is going to wear his Dodger hat on Saturday because
Nice.
we're playing San Diego. A lot of the Santos, by the way, are big Dodgers fans. A lot of connections to LA.
Olaf Milberg after the game said that Roman Berkey is medically cleared for full participation in training, and says there is a chance that he plays on Saturday. His exact words were that he will be a full go at training and could look to play in Saturday's match.
I think it was very telling that Loon played last night and not Oliveras, because maybe you play Loon thinking that Berkey's going to be back on Saturday.
Yeah,
Um, because I was definitely thinking last night would have been a good night to get Oliveira some work, but
for sure.
but I can see now. But if Berkey's back Saturday, give Loot one more trot out. I can see that.
Yeah.
All right, now on to the subs, and we are going to start off with someone that I want to see as a six going forward. I liked what he did coming in from Morales, and that is Conrad Vollum, kind of forced into duty because of the injury. And, Vollum's someone that can kind of float around a little bit. We've seen him at left wing back, we've seen him at right wing back, we've seen him as a attacker, in a 10. One thing I know about Vollum from doing the research on him and the video on him is that he can basically play anywhere on the field besides goalie. And I don't think he's played striker either. But and the reason and it's backed up when you watch him play last night and you watch the replay. You talk about player, like we're talking about how Mekhi Joyner has legs for days and can hustle up and down the field. Conrad Vollum was busting his butt all night, and he had a really good backtrack in the 87th minute to when Omaha is breaking, and Vollum comes in, steals the ball, gets it to Horn, gets it to Celio, and then Celio. Actually, no, that wasn't that play. It was Vollum to Horn, and then Horn gets it up to Teuscher. Teuscher's able to beat his man, and then that's when he connects with Klaus. But that all starts with Conrad Vollum hightailing it, with his speed and hustle to get back and force a turnover. I thought Vollum coming in from Morales looked very strong. A lot of touches for a half plus of work. I was impressed on the rewatch for Vollum, and he's someone that if we are getting down to the nitty gritty on players that can play central midfielder, give him a chance at the six, Charlie, I think, because he's got the pluck to play, both ends.
I hope so. Do I think that Olaf will? No. I hope so. That is my answer, and I think Vollum, the way he played, was commendable. I think the way he played, the effort that he put in was commendable. Counting stats aside, I think he played a good game. But when you look at the numbers, he did play 46 minutes with really a lackluster offensive production, which of course, when subbing in for the sixth spot, you don't expect a ton of offense, but he was really not used a ton. Similar to Ben Lunt, but Ben Lunt did have that one giant save. And did have the great passing numbers. I don't necessarily see that with Vollum, so I'd say I keep him on par with Yarrow, Hebert, Joyner, Ostrak, and Morales in the meh tier.
Yeah, and part of it is just because he didn't have the full body of work. Jeremy mentions the backtrack stop. He basically Vollum stopped that whole counter from Omaha being a 3 versus 1, and he started the move that led to the goal that killed it off.
For sure.
I penalized Yarrow for a critical play that nearly cost us, gave Omaha a goal. I feel I kind of have to give that treatment to Vollum as well. And I'm going to put, again, kind of I would say I would probably straddle him, between meh and good, but I think just that play alone for me puts him in good. But it's close. It's close.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm also a Vollum stan, so that I'll admit a little bit of bias there.
Give me 1 second. I'm gonna grab some water.
Yep, go for it. While Charlie is doing that, we can go ahead and talk about Edouard Leuven. Edouard Leuven, first of all, glad that he's back, and I'm glad that he's in a state mentally to be back. I don't know what's going on, behind the scenes. His personal life is his personal business, obviously. I did notice that he has come back with a shaved head. He's got a buzz cut going on, so that's often a sign of. I'm not even going to go into that, but there was some chatter, over what that buzz cut could possibly signify. Now I didn't get to rank Leuven properly in the Seattle match because I was literally on a train from Boston to Portland, Maine, watching the game, so I couldn't do player rankings. I know Leuven looked sluggish, on Saturday. But I thought, Charlie, that, when he came on against Omaha, I thought that he had a pretty strong outing.
Yeah. Leuven played a good game, I think, especially being back, playing the most minutes he's played since coming back, 45 plus some extra time
Yep.
compared to the 40 that he played in the game versus Seattle after the Ostrek injury. I think it's a good performance from him. For his standards, when I say good, I'm not necessarily meaning the tier, but I think what I'm talking about is his production and what you ask from Edu Leuven, especially coming back from the circumstances and the long break, 54 touches in 45 minutes. He was a good piece to keep possession, but I don't think he did much more than that, other than some set piece plays that resulted in a couple chances, nothing major. But I would say. I'll yield to you, but I think I would go with the same tier as another attacking player that had a lot of touches, Mekhi Joyner.
Okay. I personally, when Leuven came on, it felt like it and didn't happen right away, but it did feel like the offense got a little more engaged when when he was out there, because Leuven is that metronome. He is. I mean, that is what he's out there to be. And it did feel that in the second half, more so than other games, play was a little more central.
Mhm.
I've seen a lot of games when Lou has been out there, and I've and even when Morales has been playing in his role, where because we're so wing focused that it feels like the central midfielders kind of disappear a little bit. Um, I noticed Leuven a little bit more last night. He, as you said, he did create a couple chances. I thought his free kicks looked a lot better. In fact, like the one in the 64th minute where he has the free kick from right in front of Olaf in the bench, and Betcher heads it towards goal, and like that's not far off from being a goal, but that was a very well placed free kick. And he put it right in the spot that Betcher needed to be in. To Betcher's credit, he was right there in that spot as well. Um, I can see the argument for meh, because I mean, just because it's only 45 minutes, and he didn't do anything that directly led to any goal scoring. He didn't do anything spectacular on defense. I'm gonna put him in good, only just I mean, if anything nudges him over the like this straddle line here, it's the fact that he just back, period.
Yeah, I
You
think
know,
that's fair.
and it's good to see him back. And it's and last night was a good chance for him to get some fitness in. We'll see how much he plays against San Diego on Saturday or against Kansas next Wednesday. It's just good that he's back, and I thought that he was a lot more effective last night than he was against Seattle.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Next one we're going to talk about is, speaking of players that looked more effective than normal, Seti Toyshirt. So Toyshirt came on for Jande Silva. Basically played about the final 30 minutes. Um, we were talking a little bit earlier about how Silva and Toyshirt are different players, in that as I said, Silva's that hot knife through butter type of a player, whereas Toyshirt's not fast, and he's more of a playmaker type. Um, didn't and this was another SETI game where, and I think part of it was just because of circumstances of the match, where St. Louis went into more of a turtle in the second half, which we'll get to in the Olaf section. But I when he did have the ball, and when he had space, he looked solid in space. And he had a couple good dribbles, including the one where he fed Klaus on that goal, created two other chances, almost had a goal in the 77th minute off I believe it was a rebound. I was on the near post, but ended up being blocked. But he was right there for it, and if he had a bit of a stronger touch, it might have been a goal. But what do you think about Seti Toyshirt? What do you think about his game last night?
I want to give you a couple stats here.
Yeah,
Only 4 passes, so he wasn't a huge playmaker this game, contradicting
no,
what I just said earlier. But
that's all right.
3 chances created in 27 minutes for Cedric
Yeah,
Toyshirt.
Yeah.
I think that when you look at the player who had the most chances created, it was Kyle Hebert with 4, and he played 90 minutes. He played the whole game. So you're
Yeah.
talking about almost less than a third of the time that most other players played. He created one less chance than everyone else,
Yeah.
and more chances than the majority of players. I think Cedric Toyshirt was, again, when I saw him come on, you talk about Leuven when you see a little bit pep in the step of the offense. When Toyshirt came on, I felt the same kind of energy. Of course, he comes on, I believe, after that first goal. Did he? It would be
No, he
27.
was out there for that. He came
Okay,
on.
got it. Yeah.
It was about the 63rd minute he came on or so.
Yeah, I mean, so you're talking about him and Leuven coming on and sparking the offense like that. I think I would consider, even though he only played 27 minutes, I would seriously consider putting Cedric Toyshirt in the smash category.
Interesting, interesting. I'm not gonna go that far. It's a consideration. The only thing holding him back is that he was only out there 27 minutes. And as you said, he only had only 4 passes. I think he only had like 10 touches the whole time. But I think but he's a victim of, I think, again, of, Olaf going deeper into a turtle after we got the first goal, which I have things to say about that. But I think Seti was in fact, actually, Jeremy chiming in, the spin and progressive carry that Toyshirt had was class. Yep, led to the Klaus goal, and it's a very good
Yeah.
for Seti. I think this is not all goods are created alike. Like I would put Seti like in a similar effectiveness like tier as like Jande and Celio. Like,
Yeah.
just for as you said, for the limited time that he was out there, he made the most of it.
Mm-hmm.
He absolutely made the most of it. He looked like a player that's been playing in the Zweite Bundesliga for a couple of years, playing against third-tier American soccer players, like for lack of a better term. So yeah, very strong game from him. Speaking of players that we can be very happy about, Joao Klaus scoring goals. That's what we love to see from our Brazilian German striker. And look, games like Union Omaha, I think, should be confidence builders, and really no player for St. Louis needs that more than Joao Klaus. I mean, he did get out the Schneid a couple weeks ago, getting that goal at home in front of the North End, but like we've been wanting him to get going. And talk about players that are using the most of their time. So he was part of the trio of subs that came on when Zelensky went down. So he came on for Betcher, and 11 touches in 16 minutes. And as you pointed out, Klaus was doing a lot of backtrack. I mean, Klaus was playing all over the place, when he was out there. Like, this was not an easy night at the office for him. He didn't take that
No.
last night off at all. But I thought Klaus, and he had the goal. The goal was nice to watch on replay. And I watched that back a couple of times. So when he gets the ball from Seti Toyshirt, Klaus has 4 Omaha defenders around him, kind of like in a box, kind of like in kind of a diagonal box, where he's at. So he's boxed in, but they're giving him space, and which is something that the goalkeeper for Omaha knew, who was upset with his defenders about. He kind of was like, what the hell, man? Because Klaus basically, when I was watching that live, and you can vouch for this as well, when Klaus gets that pass, it feels like time almost freezes, because he's composed. He's able to settle the ball and get into a lane and basically pick out his spot. This was a really good goal scorer's goal, Charlie.
Yeah, it was. And the ability, I mean, he was about 2 feet away, maybe a foot and a half away from 2 goals.
Yeah,
So again, like you talked about the lack of minutes for Seti, and how that maybe had, teetered you against putting him in the smash. I think that shows how good Klaus was. In
yeah,
only 16 minutes, he almost had 2 goals. You're talking about not the game winner, but the dagger.
yeah.
In this game, saying we're going to put this away, and which you have not seen all season from this squad. You have not seen a dagger be put in. And against LAFC, those 3 goals, none of them are late in the game. None of them, they're they're not consecutive. All of them, like it's there was really no dagger this season yet from City, and this was the dagger.
Yeah.
Of course, it's against a USL 1 team, but to be able to score in the 87th minute and then almost have a goal in extra time, I don't know. I think he's up there with Zelensky.
Okay.
I would take the fact that he only played 16 minutes as a plus because of what he did in those 16 minutes.
But he made the most out of that 16 minutes. And, I was going to put him in good. Chat, let me know. Let me know if you have a problem with this. But I'm going to go with you, Charlie. I'm going to put Klaus in smash. When you're scoring goals, and we're winning when you score more goals than the other team, you win the game. I think it just comes down as simple as that. Klaus made the most of his time. JT Kirsting is agreeing with the smash for Joao Klaus. Jeff agrees, smash for Klaus. Amy says smash for Klaus. Hashtag smash for Klaus. I think that is official. So yeah, he scores with his left. He scores with his right. Better watch out, or he'll score on you twice, because he almost did, as you said. And then also JT pointed out earlier that Klaus had the goal that was called off against Columbus because of that very dubious offside, which it wasn't offside.
It was on.
It was very on, but we don't have Premier League offside technology because MLS is cheap. But yeah. And Ryan Fraley saying smash as well. So yeah, Klaus smashed it. Goal scorer, did the most with his time out there, and maybe he carries us into San Diego and actually gets a brace or better. Let's hope for that. And then the final player on our list is Giannis Horn. Came in for Zelensky when Zelensky went down and kind of created a bit of a shift because he went over to left center back, and I think Joyner shifted over to the right. Joyner shifted over to the right, and that's where Joyner's been doing a lot of left and right on City 2 this year, so they're trying to get him, both-sided versatility there. So it was a good experience for Joyner. Giannis Horn, when I watched the rewatch, nothing stood out to me. What do you think, Charlie?
No. I don't think anything stood out for me. If anything, if I had to rank a player at a low meh or as maybe the least contributive, it would be Giannis today last night, because Giannis, I don't know, he just didn't have a great game. I think it's a low meh. I'd even teeter around bad. But I think when you get a win like this, it's hard to put a player like Giannis Horn at bad. So I think he's earned the respect. If this is a Zelensky playing like this, he's getting putting bad. But Giannis Horn's earned the respect at that position enough that he can have a bad game like this without being flamed, and without people saying that he shouldn't start anymore.
Yeah, I don't think he even had a bad game. It was just indifferent.
Yeah,
just indifferent. Fair. They did nothing egregious. Did nothing that stood out. He was there. He was there.
I didn't see him much, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and when you're not noticing defenders, that's usually a good thing.
Usually, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what they say with American
sorry,
football
Josh Yarrow. Yeah. All right, man of the match time. I think this one, even though we did put Klaus in smash, I think this one's got to be Zelensky.
Yes, sir. Joseph Zelensky.
Let's give it to Zelensky.
What a debut. What a start for this kid's career with City. The super draft pick, they finally give him a chance. The kid from Jersey, he scores a beauty. Probably the best goal that City has scored all year so far. Shades of what Rasmus Alm did last year, outside the box, almost in the same place, almost a little closer, a little more central, but an absolute smash of a goal, a smash of a game, and objectively the man of the match today.
And if that's not the goal of the of this round of the U.S. Open Cup, like of all games, like something's wrong, because that is. I mean, he scored that on a volley.
Yeah,
and he placed it perfectly. Like, could Nuhu have done better on that? Probably, but Yeah, I think he might win that one back, but like to be fair though, I watched the replay a couple of times and it was just one of those things where I mean, the angle of the ball it just found a spot under Nuhu.
It had eyes. That ball had eyes for the net.
It really did have eyes. It really did have eyes.
Jerry, what did you just say?
Jerry, what are you dropping a hot take in there? Joey better than Miggy now and for the future.
You haven't even given me a chance though.
Yeah.
You gotta get Miggy a chance on that first call without saying something objective.
Also, they play different positions. I'm not sure what you're. Yeah, and also Miggy scored for City 2 this past Sunday.
He scored right in front of me. He hugged a couple kids on that as a celebration. I can tell he definitely made that kid's week, month, if not year.
Mm-hmm. All righty. So look at the tiers. Look at everyone that has been laid out. A lot of good, couple smashes, nothing worse than meh. So you'd think, good game, right?
For the players, yes.
We're feeling positive. We're feeling happy. We got a 2-0 win. And Jerry, I saw you earlier. Must have been a decent game. Look at all those mehs and aboves. The happy portion's over. Because we got to talk about Olaf and his tactics. I'm going to go back to what Olaf said. I think these are probably like among his first words, since he was announced. Olaf does not want to play boring possession football. That's his words. He doesn't want to be a boring possession team. What was that first half then, Charlie?
It was.
I wanted to fall asleep.
USL 1 team.
Yeah, we were playing timid.
The first 10 minutes were good.
Again, yeah, but then after that, and then like the last 20 were good, but then in the middle, it was like you popped a Quaalude, and I should never feel like I need to take a nap at Energizer Park during a game, but right around halftime, I'm like thinking like, damn, I should get some comfort food and just, turn in and head in for the night. It was nothing to write home about. JT Kirsting. We played the passing game, the side to side passing that Kyle Hebert loves so much. Yeah. Jeremy, I'm with you. The overall performance was not convincing enough for me with that 11 against a third tier club that wasn't set up to be difficult or break down. I agree. This is not on the players. The evidence is on your screen right now. This is not on the players so much. The players did their job. It's just they are nerfed by this. Absolutely, as I'm gonna say it in the intro. I'm gonna say it again. It's about as fun as rubbing sandpaper on your ass. It just is. It is. And you better be winning with it. You better be winning with this style, or you are going to turn off fans left and right. We had 5,000 fans-ish at the Open Cup game. Against Vancouver, we had 17,000 and broke our sellout streak. The iceberg with this club is coming. If we don't get some energy and life into this team on a game in and game out basis, it is coming. It is coming, and we may have already made contact with it. I was glad that he did use Joyner and Silva Zielinski tonight. I'll give him some dap for that. But again, Charlie, I said it before. I'm going to say it again. Olaf is trying to get his players to adapt to a system that he is going to go down with this ship over instead of adapting to his players.
Yeah.
We have a lot of players that are very attacking minded, and this could be a roster construction issue. Maybe we should put Lutz up there for discussion on this regard. Maybe it's fate because of all these injuries. Maybe it's a little bit of A, a little bit of B, but Charlie, this ain't working.
No, it's not. And one of the things that Lutz Pfannenstiel said when they hired him, because the track record of Olaf Elberg, he's not a winner. He's never averaged more than a point per game.
No.
I pointed out a random coach that coached at a Swedish team before Olaf took them from the second league to the first league. Then Olaf came in and went from first in the league to 13th and 15th. You could have hired Per-Ola Young, spelled P-E-R dash, Per-Ola, O-L-A, and then L-J-U-N-G. Look him up. Per-Ola Young. He coached the same team as Olaf Melberg, and Olaf coached it worse. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
It is, I don't know, because you didn't bring him in because of his track record. You brought him in because of, said you're going to developing young players. He said he's going to have a plan A, B, and C and not be afraid to use it. Where's the B and the C? Where are the young players? Makai Joyner is the only young player to start. He's the only player under 24 years old to start a game so far. And it's not an MLS match.
This is another thing that maybe is a reason why Olaf was not the right hire. MLS rules do kind of make it hard to promote kids up, because you can only do these short-term loans unless you are a Makai Joyner that is signed to a big roster contract, unless you're like a Tyson Pierce that is signed to a big roster contract. And I saw you, JT Kersey. He wants to see some more Tyson Pierce.
I agree.
He may be getting to that point where he's ready. Caden Glover has a homegrown contract, although I haven't really seen. I'm getting kind of worried about Caden, honestly. I hear like nothing out of him lately. I haven't watched much City 2 this year, but again, but like like say for like McSorley is not on a first team contract, I don't think. And so if he breaks out, if Emil Jääskeläinen breaks out, and you want to promote them up, oh yeah, you can have them play a couple games, but then you're limited, and then they have to go back down because of MLS's anti-roster hoarding rules. So how can you promote from your academy when you can't promote from your academy? That's one issue. The other issue that I was going to bring up with Olaf is, and I just had it on the tip of my tongue and I lost it. The other issue was just going to be the simple fact that Olaf's system is really great if you're trying to avoid relegation. If you are Brahmapoikarna in Sweden and you are trying to avoid getting relegated from the Allsvenskan, like he's been doing the past couple of years, he hasn't won shit at Brahmapoikarna. Never did. He has taken a young squad of unprovens, and to be fair, he defied the odds a little bit because, they have one of the lowest spends of any team in the Allsvenskan, and so he probably overachieved a little bit. But as you said, Charlie, he's not a winner. He is someone that saves clubs from relegation by playing Italian catenaccio football. This is MLS, bro. We don't have relegation. We play in a league that has a lot of expressive players, South American players, European players that play exciting football. And it's not working, bro. It is just not working. And Ryan points this out as well. Adjustments, not just this game, but in other games. Olaf has the same problem that Bradley Carnell had. Sometimes Olaf makes adjustments too late. Sometimes he doesn't make them at all.
Yeah, I'll say this. Okay, I said it before. It's actually worse than I thought.
Oh boy. Drop the track. Drop it.
Here we go. So this is with the team named Helsingborgs IF.
Nice job on the pronunciation.
Thank you. In 2016, they were 14th in the Allsvenskan. They were relegated to Superettan. They fired their head coach, Henrik Larsson. They hired Per-Ola Young. His first season, they placed 7th. Second season, they placed 1st with 63 points. Per-Ola Young averaged 1.59 goals per game as the head coach. Points per game as the head coach, Then Per-Ola Young leaves. They move up to Allsvenskan. Again, they get promoted because Allsvenskan is a higher level league than Superettan. Superettan is more of a feeder league, kind of like USL to MLS type deal.
Yeah.
Of course, a little bit higher level just because it's over in Europe, but similar structure where it's more of a feeder league. They go to the Allsvenskan, the higher league, with Olaf Milberg. They go from first place in 2018 to 10th in 2019 and to dead last 15th in 2020. And then what happens? Milberg gets fired. Milberg leaves. And then what happens? They go back to Super 10 and place third. So what happens? So what happened was before Olaf comes after Olaf.
Yeah.
I don't understand like the track record.
So remind me again, what was the club that Olaf got? What was the name of the club?
Helsingborg's IF.
Okay, chat. Have any of you ever fucking heard of Helsingborgs before? We hired a coach that got fired from Helsingborgs. Do you even know where Helsingborgs is? Or did you just think Helsingborgs is something that was from like a fantasy novel written by R.A. Salvatore? You know, was this a place that Dristo Erden visited before he went to Icewind Dale? This is the guy that we hired as our coach. Yeah, no one has no one knows where the hell this place is apparently except Lutz and Steele. And if it sounds like I am very anti Olaf Milberg right now, it's because I am. Because this game was so boring, Charlie, that in the second half, early in the second half, the announcers were laughing about the New York Knicks game. And they were having a discussion about the New York Knicks game because this game was so boring and so lifeless. And this MLS club that just beat Union Omaha 2 years ago, 5-1 with a lot of similar personnel. In fact, quote unquote, better personnel than we had before. 0-0 to a 12th out of 14th place League One club. Playing very timid, playing very scared, playing in a turtle. I should never, like I said, I should never feel like I leave Energizer Park wanting to take a nap while I'm in the park. I should never leave Energizer Park after a win feeling like I just took an algebra final instead of watching soccer. And even though we won last night, this game was pulling teeth until Zelensky and the Zelensky goal, great as it was a bolt of lightning out of nowhere. It came off a rebound. There was no beautiful soccer being played leading up to the Zelensky goal. This was not the beautiful game in display here. This was Joey Zelensky being at the right place at the right time and hitting a shot that probably he misses 99 times out of 100 in practice. Let's just, as you said, it was a seeing eye shot that got under the goalie. There was nothing spectacular about the tactics that Olaf employed. The players did, again, the tier maker. I'll go back to the graphic once again. The players did fine for what they were asked to do. It's just that they weren't asked to do much at all.
Yeah.
Except play boring possession football. The same type of boring possession that Olaf supposedly and has told us that he does not like. And yet that's what we're doing, Charlie.
Yeah. So one thing also, Helsingborg's IF sounds like a train station that Buddy the Elf took on his way to New York City in the movie Elf, first of all. Second of all, the best player of all time from Helsingborg's IF is Rasmus Jansson.
I'm not going to pretend I know who that is.
There has been one player in Helsingborg's IF history that has played a game in the Premier League. That player being Henrik Larsson. He played 7 games and scored 1 goal.
Okay. Actually, I know that name. I had him in Football Manager a few years ago, but yeah.
That is it. That is the only player from Helsingborg's IF that has ever played for a Premier League team or a
And you know
Premier League.
something, a lot of people like to point out that Klishevsky from Tottenham, he came from Brahma Poikarna, but he left Brahma Poikarna before Melberg arrived. So Melberg can't even claim Kulishevsky either. That's in Melberg's time at Brahma Poikarna, he didn't really produce anyone. It was just playing to stay alive, basically. Um, and that goes into effect right after Zelensky scored, because after Zelensky scored, what did we do, Charlie? We went into a shell.
Yeah.
We played to protect a 1-0 lead against a bottom third in the table League One club 2 tiers below us.
Yeah.
Weak doesn't begin to describe that.
No.
It doesn't. That doesn't start. We need to be bullying Union Omaha like we did 2 years ago. There is, with the personnel that we have, the talent that we have. Even I get it, we have all these injuries, but we still have a lot of talent out there on the field and players that are attacking minded. We need to put boots to throats whenever we're playing a team like Union Omaha.
Yeah.
And while I do think the team did get some confidence getting a win over, 2-0 wins, not a bad thing. Far from it. But the manner in which we did it, like, do I feel confident against San Diego on Saturday? Not particularly.
Hell no.
Am I even feeling a little leery against Kansas next week? Even though Kansas kind of sucks, so do we.
Yeah.
Under these tactics. And the final thing here. You brought this up about how Simon Betcher came around and acknowledged the fans. When was the last time you saw Olaf acknowledge the fans after a game?
Excluding last night.
Did he actually come around last night?
He did. He did a little.
Okay, good. Because what I was thinking about this last night. There was only a couple players that came around, and
Not all of them.
Yeah,
Yarrow,
they didn't.
Baumgartel, Simon, Xiao Klaus.
I saw Oliveira's down there.
Oliveras was there. Blunt was there, and that was it.
Yeah, it wasn't much.
No.
Did Olaf kill that tradition? After we win,
I haven't
we do
seen it since Burlaw came in. Hackworth did it. Carnell did it.
Yeah. So this to me, this feels like an Olaf thing, and we know how Olaf is kind of reticent with the media. He doesn't even show up to his press conferences on time.
No.
As you know, because you actually attend them as a member
online
of the press.
or usually in person too. I'm gonna say one more thing about Olaf, okay?
Yeah.
Because I hope I'm proven wrong. I say all this with the hope that I'm proven wrong and that I look like an idiot on the internet, and that Olaf Melberg starts to make this team win. Because I'm just gonna say something. Earlier, Jeremy said he got hired because Brahma Karna got promoted multiple years in a row.
Yep.
And he overperformed. He maximized potential. Okay, I'm going to tell you what happened. Olaf Melberg was the head coach in 15 and 16 for Brahma Poikana. Okay, he brought them from Etten Nora, third tier, to Supertan, the second tier. He then left. Coach previously said I forgot the name of it. Helsingborgs? Is that what
Helsingborgs, yes.
Helsingborgs. He went and coached Helsingborgs for 2 years. During those 2 years, a guy named Robert Bjorknesho.
You made that up.
No. Look it up. All right, it's Robert, not Robert. Robert Bjork, like the singer. Nesjo. Robert Bjorknesjo. I think that's how you would pronounce it.
We'll go with that.
Took them from the Supertan to the Allsvenskan, from the second level to the first level. So Olaf went from third to second, and then Borknesio disappeared. They got they made him up, and then he disappeared. And then Kjell Jonvrit came in and brought them back down to second tier. Okay, in 18-19 they got relegated again. And then Sean Constable came in. They got relegated again to the third tier. And then a guy named Krister Madison comes in. They go from third tier to Supertan again. Olaf Melberg goes from Supertan to Allsvenskan and then stays there once. And that's it. So basically, what Olaf Melberg did is he coached for 2 years, took them from horrible to mediocre, and then took a good team and kept them good for 2 years. He didn't make them good. Who made them good was Krister Madison, or Mattiasen, however you pronounce it.
We'll go with that.
That man took them from the third tier in 2021 to the second tier, laid the foundation of the squad, had a plus 24 goal differential, and then the next year Olaf Melberg comes in, they go to the first tier because he got promoted, and then Olaf had a negative 13 goal differential. So he barely kept them in the league.
Barely. Yeah.
Barely.
And
Olaf Melberg is not to thank for this squad being promoted. He was nearly a cog in a well-oiled machine of fake people that apparently coached this squad. Like, I don't, because it was not him that kind of, quarterbacked this. He was not the genius behind this, as some people might assume. He was nearly a cog in a well-oiled machine that is Brahma Boykana or Kanya or whatever.
You got it right. Brahma Boykana. Yeah. Which as Jeremy points out, no one heard of Brahma Boykana either before Olaf got hired.
Yeah.
I still don't know exactly where in Sweden that is even. But by the way, Ryan points out that Helsingborg sounds like a Swedish IKEA to him, and now he's asking Olaf to help Ryan put his furniture together.
I think I have my bedside table. I think that was the name of it when it came out of the box.
Oh, nice Helsingborg. Nice. And
yeah.
Sounds like very fine furnishings.
It
and if Olaf keeps this up, he might be available to help put your furniture together because he might not be employed.
There's always what I like to call the backup plan. Okay, he could always go back to the Super Tan or Super Ton, however you say it, and coach a team that just got relegated called Kumar FF. So you never know.
The lofty heights of the Super Tan. Yes,
of course.
The natural Allsvenskan to MLS to Super Tan career progression, as one naturally does. In fact, Olaf's tactics have been so bad that JT Kirsting pointed out that our "City's on fire" chant when Union was pressing in our end was complete lack of coordination. And you know why that was a lack of coordination? It's because we only chant that after we score goals, and we haven't been scoring goals. But Jerry, being on the positive side of life, saying maximize potential equals long-range sustainable planning, not instant results. But again, as Charlie just pointed out, Olaf doesn't have a history of staying long-range anywhere. I mean, except as a player at Aston Villa. And as someone pointed out in the chat earlier, we better get our game going here before Aston Villa comes in on July 30th. And probably leaves us as a smear under their boot with the way that we've been playing lately. Welcome to the chat, Ethan Thornton, my buddy from Louisville. Hey, gents, pose a question. What could Olaf do to satisfy you? Leave.
Okay, I won't go that far because he might be mad at me next time I ask him a question.
Okay, let me qualify this. This is the opinions of Soccer Zombie and Soccer Zombie alone. Charlie is a guest. He does not endorse that opinion. Okay, you're safe.
Cool, thank you. I would say what he could do to make me happy would be to take a page out of Doug Armstrong and Jim Montgomery's book with the St. Louis Blues. They are the most transparent sports team I've ever seen in my life. When Torrey Krug, a hockey player who he got injured last year, he's probably not going to play hockey again. They said he's probably not going to play hockey again. When they said, are you going to bring back this one player named Radek Faksa? They said, if we think he's going to be good. They just say it how it is, and the city loves them, and they're also good. The less they hide, and the more transparent they are, because when you have nothing to hide, there's no reason not to be transparent.
Mm-hmm.
I just hope that over time, Olaf starts to be more transparent as Carnell was and as Hack was. Instead of skirting around a question, just say you were bad. If you sucked that game, just say you sucked. Call out a player's name and say they need to play better. That might be motivation.
And I wouldn't even necessarily call the Blues very transparent, like compared to like a lot of other clubs, because I know I covered them a few years, and they can be a little secretive. But like I wouldn't say like they're an open book, but like when you're
Comparatively.
when you're being compared negatively in your transparency compared to the Blues, it's not great. It is not great, especially from a club that purports itself to be open and transparent. Like you know, I just get this kind of feeling of lip service from like it goes back to the point about let me go back here earlier, the Jeremy's comment about why he was hired, because ownership won't spend because he maximized potential and used the most of his assets. Like when you hear Lute say things and ownership say things like, well, we've got to make the playoffs. We've got to make the playoffs. We've got to install winning soccer. And, when you hear them talk about winning so much, and then you see the product we have out there. I grew up under under a father who's still around, thankfully, but my father couldn't stand liars. Couldn't stand him. Nothing will burn a bridge with him quicker than lying to him. And he put that in me as well. And so that is where a lot of my frustration comes down to, because I feel a little bit lied to when it comes to Olaf and what his pedigree is and what he is bringing to this club. And and that filters up to the front office a little bit when you have things like the Open Cup, having, because again, ownership won't spend, then you're selling Open Cup tickets for the highest level of any club that's in the Open Cup at $40 a pop. You get a couple suckers like me to buy those $40 tickets, and then all of a sudden you got $29 tickets available pretty soon. And then soon after that, if you're part of City Futures, you get free tickets. And again, these are comments of Soccer Zombie and Soccer Zombie alone, not Charlie. Charlie, you're not involved in this, but I'm just kind of feeling a certain way about this club lately. I'm feeling a certain kind of way here, and I suspect I'm not alone in that. I think Ethan is kind of he hit this on the head. Crazy to feel so unsatisfied after a win, but the restlessness is being felt with us too, and I'm definitely feeling very restless right now. More comments, Jeremy. Comparison for BK and City. BK is not a team that spent much. They are a club with a massive academy but no spending budget. City spends more, but the comparison seems apt. I mean, relative to Brahma Poikarna, we spend way more than Brahma Poikarna, but like even Sporting Kansas City spent money this offseason. Like they went out and got Joveljic. They went out and spent money on Garcia and the other guy from Atlas. It feels like they're trying. What are we doing?
Yeah.
And Jerry and just real quick, Jerry asked a question. If he's fired tomorrow, what do you want to happen? How does that deal with tomorrow? Olaf is gone.
John Hackworth.
Bingo. We have a perfectly we have a gently used John Hackworth ready to go.
In a theoretical.
Theoretically.
I'm not saying, as a media member of St. Louis City SC, I'm not saying that the head coach should be fired.
Nope.
I have the utmost respect for Olaf Melberg as a person. I think he's a nice person. The way that he shows respect in the media rooms, I'm not necessarily going to blame him for the timing of his appearances because it may not be solely his fault. I will only say that the subpar performances on the field leads me to exercise my right to free speech and to petition the fans and other players and media members to do the same.
Okay, I see what you're saying here, Jerry. Short-term success may not be in our future, but it's not a cure. I'm going back to what the club has said about Olaf and about the moves that they made, about having to win now, about getting into the playoffs. Your statement, while positive and practical and rational, probably more rational than I'm being right now, contradicts what the club has said at this point. That's the problem. That is what makes me so angry right now, is because we're getting mixed messages here. We're getting mixed messages from what's coming out of Carolyn Kindle's lips, what's coming out of Lutz Pfannenstiel's lips, and to a degree, what's coming out of Olaf Melberg's lips, and what we are actually seeing out there. It's a complete contradiction, and that's the part that makes me upset. And I think it makes a lot of people upset too, because they built us, the club built us up to have expectations this year. This is not going to be 2024. We got Marcel Hartle. We got Cedric Toyshard. We signed Timo Baumgartel this offseason. Giannis Horn's here. Simon Betcher's here. We made all these moves. We got all these exciting players. We got, Marcel Hartle was the best player in the Zweite Bundesliga a couple of years ago. We play nothing short of the playoffs is acceptable. We're not going to play boring possession soccer. Blah 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 blah. That's where I'm at right now. It sounds like Charlie Brown and the teacher. Womp 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 womp. Because the words I'm hearing aren't matching what I'm seeing. Now, I'm going to surprise you guys a little bit here. I'm going to go back to the tier maker. I got to rate Olaf. I'm just going to put him in bad.
You won a game, you can't call your coach trash.
Yeah, thank you, Charlie. I just spent, about the past half an hour on a verbal tirade about the guy, but we won. We did win. He did play Zelensky, finally. I can't be. We won. That's just the fact of the matter is, but it is. That's last night is a speed bump on the overall highway that is this season so far. But yeah, Angus McWhorter, yes, you did come in late. Was very impressed with Jean Day. I do agree. It's let's get our happy faces on. Let's get back to things that are positive. Very impressed with Jean Day. Jean Day you could have made an argument for smash with him, but the end product wasn't quite there with him, so I left him in good. But yeah, everyone went Jim Curtin, by the way. Jim Curtin does not want to coach right now. That is the word that I hear. Jim Curtin is just not into coaching. He turned down Atlanta.
He wants to spend time at Cancun right now. I don't mind it.
I don't mind. He turned down Atlanta United, and that's a much more desirable job.
That's Arthur Black money. That's a lot of money right there.
Oh, yeah, I mean that ain't Brahma Boykarna.
No,
that ain't Brahma Boykarna. They actually spend money in Atlanta, unlike here.
Yeah, and I'll say this, everything that we've said, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to guess that you believe the same thing. I hope that everything I'm saying is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that everything I'm saying sounds stupid in 2 months when City goes on a winning streak. I hope what I'm saying seems like I don't know anything about soccer, that I didn't watch soccer, and that I've never watched soccer, and I don't know what a sphere is. I don't know what a soccer ball is. That's how I want to feel. I want Olaf to prove me so wrong that I sound really stupid. Okay? That's what I want to do. That's what I want to happen. I am hoping, I am praying, I am doing everything. I'm crossing my fingers that this team can start to win some games.
Mm-hmm.
And
I agree.
I have to hope and hope and hope that Olaf can pull this off.
Because that's what we have right now. That's what we have. Like I said in the Discord earlier, this isn't falling out of love with the club or anything like that. It's just that I feel that marriage counseling might be needed pretty soon. We're at that point of the relationship right now where the honeymoon's over, and it's like now we're dealing with the real issues. But as far as who I would want to come in, of course, my boy Kane, the one that goes to games, said, this guy that's behind my right shoulder here, Jurgen Klopp, but no, I think Klopp is done. Speaking of guys that want to spend time in Cancun, and then someone joked Arne Slot, which I think he's pretty happy in Liverpool. I don't think he's gonna go anywhere. But you know who might be jobless pretty soon? You talking about coaches that are underperforming but are very popular with their fan base. Ange Postecoglou is probably going to be available pretty soon. Maybe he wants a new challenge in the United States. Just saying.
Never know.
Anyway, now we're talking about pie in the sky here.
Yeah.
But,
I think to wrap it up a little bit and to just say, Zelensky, man of the match, proud of his first appearance. He finally got a shot. He played amazing. Okay, the banger of a goal. Shout Klaus again with the 16 minutes, almost 2 goals. He got one in the back of the net. It is an amazing performance from both of them. No players below meh. No one played a bad game. The
No.
only thing that was bad was maybe the lineup construction.
Yes.
And
And
that is a good thing to be the worst thing, I think.
agreed. Yeah.
I'd rather have lineup construction be the thing we're worried about instead of just not scoring goals. And I think that's big.
The issue is purely tactical from last night. It's all it is, and it's this guy right here that's
it's
behind
progress.
It. Yeah.
I know it's a USL 1 team, but it's a win.
It is.
You have not won since in the MLS since April, or no, it was March 5th, I believe.
Yeah.
Something like that. It was Seattle at home. It might have been 15th.
And you know something, Charlie? I hope that after one of these next two games, we can look back on this stream, Charlie, and laugh because we lit San Diego on fire Saturday, or we lit Kansas on fire next Wednesday. Because if we lose to Kansas at home next Wednesday, guys, this stream was just the beginning. This stream was just the beginning.
As a coach, think about this. Think about what would happen to a just hear me here. What would happen to a Manchester City coach that lost to Man United twice in a year? With the roster they had, what would happen to that coach? Theoretically.
Probably. I mean, he would have to win like the Champions League to like make up for that.
And City's not probably not going to win any hardware this year unless the Open Cup continues to go as good as it was last night. If you lose to Kansas City again, if you let those bastards in blue tote, gloat, boast, brag, do anything and talk about beating City twice in one season, there is no excuse.
No.
I don't care if you have to sign Josh Sargent to a 1-game contract for $100 million just to win the game. I don't care. You do it because you need to win that game.
If we lose next Wednesday, I think there's going to be a contingent of St. Louis supporters that will be more than happy to direct Olaf to the airport and go back to Sweden. And we would assure him that all his belongings would be packed and sent back to him as quickly as possible. Because as you said, Charlie, we're not going to put up with losing to Kansas twice. And I know, Amy, bite my tongue, but this is where I'm at. This is where I'm at right now. Even though we won last night, we won, but why am I feeling this way? It's just because
I get you.
It's just the way it is. But
yeah,
I think it's time to wrap it up now. I think we have belabored this point here. If you have enjoyed this conversation on St. Louis City Soccer as it stands right now on May 8th, 2025, and these player rankings, drop a comment below. If you're watching in the future, make sure to like and subscribe for more. It helps get this video out to more viewers like you. And this is not a PBS ad either. And want to thank the Zombie Ultras as well for helping me get to places like New England this past weekend. The Rhode Island vlogs are out. The vlog is out. The Portland vlog is out. The Louisville vlog is out. 3 great vlogs, 2 hours of content there for your watching, and they probably will be a bit of a palate cleanser for you. So thank you to the 14 members of the Ultras. Thank you to the 99 cent supporter section as well. You guys are the OGs, and you guys are the ones that really started this whole thing in motion. And thank you to Charlie Bilyeu for joining me for this therapy session known as Player Rankings. And real quick, Charlie, where can they find you on socials?
Yeah, look up on X, Charlie B. If that doesn't come up, then I got banned, and that's bad. Maybe I don't know. Olaf knew Elon in that situation, but just look up Charlie B on X. It's a profile picture of. I'm not going to be an old guy. See, you'll probably guess which one it is by the profile. I post about City SC. I have a podcast with Oscar from STL Santos. Jeremy Clements was in the comments. He is one of the new members. And Mo Football TV.
Musa Seca, the friendliest man in St. Louis City fandom.
So we were doing that every Monday at 9 p.m. Make sure to check that out. Some big things coming with that. We'll do some, and I think we're plotting something big for the 50th and 100th episode when that comes about, probably in like the 50th will be late this year. 100 will be more down the road, but we got something big planned. So make sure to tune in. If you guys like it, then that's awesome. If you don't, I don't really care. Do your thing. It's a free country. Choose what you want to watch. But if you find it fun, tune in and engage. We have the same kind of live setup as this, where you can comment and we'll talk to you live.
Yep, exactly. And that's what I love about these streams, is that we can talk to you live as we go. Like Jerry Hayes, who I'm going to wrap this up here by just saying, this is your soccer zombie, Tom Franklin. And as Jerry has says in the comment here, shout, shout, let it all out. These are the feelings that we can do without. Scream in your pillows, get it out, and wake up with a smile. Bye, everyone.
Peace.
Adios. That's for Oscar.